You know, watching NXT in its early days, and before you people say, no, it's not the era of Wade Barrett, not that era of NXT, where NXT actually began to become what it is today, with people like Seth Rollins, people like Charlotte, Sasha, Bayley, Summer Rae, Paige, Emma, The Ascension. Those days where NXT was becoming its own thing with Sami Zayn. When Sami Zayn was good and he had that underdog character. We all loved that era of NXT. The reason why I bring this up is because my topic of discussion today, and I do apologize for not making a lot of videos as of late because I've been very, very busy. University has really been getting in the way. Yeah, I still do my weekly Raw and SmackDown reviews. Despite that I don't watch it, I just check out what goes on YouTube. I just watch the highlights. So I really had nothing to talk about. So here I am today. I'm going to be telling you guys a story that I think people may not know. And that is comparing to Charlotte in NXT to the Charlotte we have now on the main roster. And this is to clarify that what Charlotte is now in NXT is, well, I should say Charlotte to the way she is now on the main roster, I should say. The Charlotte we have now on the main roster is not who she really is. For those who didn't watch NXT in its early days, Charlotte in NXT was actually her own character. She had her own music, she had her own look, she had her own gimmick. And what was the one thing that was different from her in NXT? She never woo and did the whole Ric Flair little strut walk. The little Ric Flair walk. She didn't do that in NXT. She was actually her own character. And you want to know something else that's funny? She never did the figure eight in NXT. Her finishing move was the natural selection. Yes, she still does it, but she now uses the figure eight more than the natural selection. What I'm trying to say is, guys, is that when she got the call to the main roster, everything changed. Everything changed. Her ring attire is fine. I don't care about her ring attire. It's more the fact is that she comes out with a robe, theme music that reminds us of Ric Flair, with her own spin to it with the guitars. Because you can hear that Ric Flair-like music when she makes her entrance. Robes. Figure eights. Yes, it's her own move, but it's still basically a figure four with her own spin to it. Wooing. Strutting. Winning 8 women's championships. Closing in on Ric Flair's 16. That's the problem. Now, me personally, I don't care about title reigns. To me, Charlotte Flair being an 8-time women's champion, that doesn't bother me. That doesn't bother me because in 2015, because I didn't start making videos until 2016, for those who don't know. I started making videos in 2016. So in 2015, when she debuted, I was like, Charlotte's gonna be a megastar. I could tell she was gonna be the next top female at that time. And it seems like I was correct in that assumption, but not the way I hoped. I've been a big Charlotte fan for a long time. I know how to be loyal, unlike the majority of these fickle fans here in this community who would rather turn on their wrestlers and like somebody else, and then when they get buried, they no longer care about that person. Or someone who they greatly despise is just, they just can't stand that person. You know? But I will say this about one thing about Charlotte on the main roster, is that she has grown as a performer. Of course she has. She even does a Spanish fly. That top rope move that bloody Mustafa Ali does. A cruiserweight move. A Spanish fly. You see people like Cedric Alexander and Mustafa Ali do those moves. Charlotte Flair, for someone of her size to do a Spanish fly, is impressive. She even does a moonsault. Sure, it may not be the... Sure, people may say it's a sloppy moonsault. That's your own opinion, though. But all I'm saying is that Charlotte's actually adapted her moveset on the main roster. That's the one thing I praise. But the one thing I don't praise is WWE changing who she is. That's the thing I don't understand. That's the thing I hate. I don't care she's an 8-time champion. I don't care. The thing that pisses me off is that the fact that Vince is only pushing her the way she is because she's a Flair. It's not an excuse. It's a straight up fact. Let me give you guys another example. Look at Randy Orton. He's a 3rd generation superstar. His father, Bob Orton. And I'm not sure who his grandfather's name was. I think they were Bob Orton Jr. I think they were both called Bob Orton. But Randy Orton didn't follow in his father's footsteps. Bob Orton, his dad's character was a cowboy. With a cowboy hat. Yeehaw! Ride 'em, cowboy! Those types of cowboys. Those Texan-like cowboys. Those cowboys. Yeah, Bob Orton was a cowboy. That was his gimmick. Do you see Randy Orton? Did Randy Orton make his debut in WWE? And he had a cowboy gimmick? No. Randy didn't want to follow in his father's footsteps. He wanted to be himself. He wanted to be himself. He wanted his own character. That's the thing I praise about Randy Orton. The fact that he has his own character. He's not trying to be like his father. Vince McMahon is trying to make Charlotte like her father. This is not Charlotte's fault. Everything that's going on with Charlotte's career, it's not her fault. It's Vince McMahon and creative. Vince is the one that made Charlotte be a Ric Flair carbon copy. She didn't want to be a Ric Flair. She didn't want to be like her father. Oh, how would you know, Patrick? You don't know Charlotte. How do you know she wanted to be like her father? Well, may I remind you this. Do people remember David Flair? Do people remember him? Do you know that David Flair, I think it was David, I'm pretty sure it was David. David Flair was in WWE tryouts in 2002. How many people remember that storyline with The Undertaker and Ric Flair? How many people remember that storyline? All the way back in 2002. All the way back in 2002. Undertaker went to the Performance Center and beat the living, God-saking crap out of David Flair. I think that was his only appearance in WWF at the time, before they changed it to WWE. But David Flair was in WWE, and they buried him. They buried him in WWE. Ric Flair was reportedly very cross that Vince McMahon ruined his son. So now he's brought his daughter, Ashley, who's playing the Charlotte character, Ashley Flair. And you can tell Vince is being more careful with Charlotte, with Ashley, because he doesn't want to upset Rick. Some people may think, well, that's kind of a lame excuse to push Charlotte. If you've made this mistake once, I don't think you want to make the same mistake. The point is that people like Randy Orton, those types of people I have respect for because they don't want to be like their parents. Charlotte had her own gimmick in NXT. She had her own theme, which was a kick-ass theme. She had her own look. She wrestled her own way. And she didn't rely on the Ric Flair moniker in NXT. That's the thing I'm trying to tell you. She didn't rely on the Ric Flair figure four like gimmick, the woos and the strutting. She didn't rely on that crap in NXT. She didn't rely on that in NXT. On the main roster, she's been doing this since she got the call to the main roster. Vince is making her do this. I want the real Charlotte Flair, damn it! The Charlotte Flair in NXT. That's the Charlotte I want on the main roster. The NXT Charlotte is the real Charlotte. Is the real Ashley Flair. That's what I'm trying to tell you people. Ashley Flair in NXT, that was the real Ashley who played the Charlotte character. That was the real Charlotte. This main roster Charlotte, this main roster version of Ashley Flair is basically Ric Flair, but with her own spin. Or should I say Vince's own spin to it. One thing is for certain, I'm pretty sure Vince is pushing Charlotte because of the whole thing with David Flair. That's one thing. Because Ric Flair was reportedly very angry at Vince for doing that to David, completely ruining him. Because Rick does want people in his family legacy to. He did want someone to follow in his footsteps, or to continue, or at least continue his legacy. But do you have to have them be just like their father? As far as I'm aware, I don't think David Flair was like his father at all. Charlotte Flair wanted to be herself in NXT, and then she gets called up to the main roster, and now here she is wearing robes, strutting, wooing, being a lot like Ric Flair. These are the things I'm trying to tell you people. Is that in NXT, Charlotte was better in NXT. Because she had her own gimmick, her own music, her own look. Her old theme, Going Down, that was a great theme. The Charlotte we got in NXT, that should be the Charlotte we have now on the main roster. The original Charlotte. The Charlotte that... The NXT Charlotte. Remember how people always complain about how Vince McMahon always changes what Triple H makes? Well, he did it here. He did it to Charlotte. Triple H created Charlotte, and then Vince McMahon took Charlotte and put his own spin on the Charlotte character by making her Ric Flair. So people that say that Vince McMahon protects and loves Charlotte Flair, the fact that Vince changed Charlotte to a Ric Flair copycat, that's pretty much ruining Charlotte. Sure, people are used to it, but the thing is that Charlotte had her own character in NXT. That's what I'm trying to tell you people. Randy Orton didn't want to be like his father. Can you imagine Randy Orton being like... Can you imagine Randy Orton being a cowboy like his father? Randy Orton probably would have gotten released. He probably would have gotten released. Randy didn't want to be like his father. He wanted to have his own gimmick. That's the thing I appreciate. Why can't Charlotte? Why can't Charlotte have the same character she had in NXT, Vince? Why couldn't she? Why couldn't she have her going down gimmick? That gimmick was great. But no, you had to make her a Ric Flair. Because she's Ric Flair's daughter, you had to make her be a lot like Ric Flair. Disgusting. Disgusting. And this is the thing I don't like. This is not a knock on Charlotte. This is me, a Charlotte fan who has supported Charlotte for a long time, trying to tell you guys my honest truth about Charlotte and why WWE has taken away the real Charlotte for this Charlotte that's basically Ric Flair. Would Charlotte still be an 8-time women's champion with her NXT gimmick? Maybe. She maybe be 3 or 4 at best. Who knows? Or maybe she'd still be at 8 despite the gimmick. Like I said, to me, title reigns don't matter. Me, I don't really care about title reigns. It is what it is with that. I wasn't a big fan of John Cena winning multiple championships, but I got over that. The thing is that not every father-son or father-daughter or people who have wrestled in WWE, like the Hart family, they're like the biggest example. They don't have to be just like their family. They don't have to be exactly like their family. Sure, Natalya may have her dad's music. Or not her dad. Her uncle, Bret Hart. But it's her own version. But all I'm saying is that not everybody needs to be exactly like their family members. Charlotte Flair should be one of those people that should be able to breathe on her own and be her own character. So I hope people understand where I come from in this video. And that's all I've got for you guys. I'm out of here. Thank you all so much for joining me for this video. I do apologize. I haven't been making a lot of videos. Like I said, uni has been getting in the way. And I've also been busy during days like these. On the weekend. So I do apologize for that. Finally, I got a topic for you guys to have to listen. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hit that thumbs up if you guys did enjoy. Comment your opinions down below about this as well, and be sure to subscribe to this channel if you have not done so, and click the notification bell as well. And I'll see you all in my next video, which will most likely be my Raw and SmackDown reviews. See you then, guys.